Welcome to the LaSTEM Collective Podcast, a monthly partnership of the SCILS Region LaSTEM Center and Louisiana Delta Community College, bringing you conversations and accomplishments, opportunities, and experiences in the Louisiana Region 8 STEM ecosystem and beyond. And now, here are your hosts, Ryan Pierce and Cathi Boynuel.
Morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I mean, not even the change of the calendar could scare us off. Here we are.
We're still here. Is this the fourth episode? Did we count that right?
I think it is the fourth episode.
Well, I'm so happy that we could continue, right?
Absolutely.
It's fitting that it's 2023, and we were doing this back in 2022, but the continuation of it is necessary, and we'll be talking about that as we talk about partnerships and opportunity and resolutions and all those things. Which, by the way, I have to ask, because it's that time of the year.
Right.
Where are you with resolutions? Do you set resolutions?
Okay, friend. So here's the deal. I tend to not intentionally hit a reset button when the calendar shifts, when we go from one year to the next. I'm one of those that when I'm in progress, if I see something that needs to change, I decide right now. So it could be next month. I haven't really gotten around to anything just yet, unless you want to count my husband and I cleaning out the carport storeroom, which was a big deal. I mean, that's been 10 years in the running. So
I have to say that is a big deal, because not that you started it, that you finished it. It sounds like it's actually done. You said
it is done.
It's kind of similar for us, it's not quote unquote spring yet. It's not technically that. We're still in the winter months. And yet at the Pierce household, we certainly did some cleaning up as well, just to get ourselves ready to usher in the new year with clean bills of health. We all got checked out. Everybody's feeling good, but also, just decluttering a little bit. And it's sort of like, there's something to be said about when you declutter your house, you declutter your mind, you declutter your life. It's almost symbolic.
Something like that. But I got to tell you, ours was more necessity, because when Tom was taking down the Christmas decorations out of the loft of his man cave, he said, "I don't think I can do this next year." And so I said, well, we better get around to cleaning out that carport storeroom so we can have an easier place to put it. So that's kind of the way I am with resolutions. Whenever it comes along, something needs to be done. And I always tell people, I'm just not big on regret. I think a lot of people get to the end of the year and they regret this or that, and they think, I'm going to change that. I've just never really invested in that mindset. And so I just kind of, when the opportunity comes up for a little reset, that's when I do it.
That's smart.
Yeah. But I always love the opportunity to see the calendar change. There's something I love about taking down my old calendar off the wall in the office, putting the new one up. Tom always gets me a new little desk, Elvis desk calendar that you tear off day by day, a new image of Elvis every day. And I mean, I love that. You put the old one in the recycle, you put the new one out. And so that sense of refreshing is good, because there's some accomplished to that. I mean, another year done. I've been on the planet another year.
Another trip around the sun.
Another trip around the sun. And so let's do another one. And so that's kind of more of my mindset around the new year.
I really like that idea and that sentiment. And when we're talking about resolutions or lack thereof for you personally, you're just going to take care of business whenever it strikes you. Let's talk about SCILS Region 8 LaSTEM Center and maybe some resolutions or some initiatives or some plans for 2023. We're always talking about strategic planning and where we've been and where we're going. What's on your mind today as it relates to, the direction?
Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind, and I've tossed a little image up on the screen, and I hope it's going to project okay, that actually shows people what our SCILS region looks like. There we are. You'll see Lincoln Parish is kind of whited out because we actually sit in Region 7, but we are charged with serving Region 8. And as you always say in our intro, for the Region 8 STEM ecosystem and beyond, because we tend to migrate down I-20. We're real intentional about that I-20 corridor. But if you look at our image that's on the screen, you'll see there are logos in a lot of the parishes, and then you'll see 4 that are lacking a logo. Those logos indicate that we have a footprint there. We have established a partnership. We are doing work with these folks. So one of my goals, and I mean this is truly a goal for the next year, when we revisit in January, guess what I want to see in those last 4 parishes? I want to see a logo. I want us to say that we have a strategic partnership in every parish in our region. Now, I'm going to say this. We've been at this a year and a half. Yeah. I feel pretty good with that, scattering of logos, because that speaks to what's going on. That's a lot of folks, because we have a really big area. It's kind of geographically remote, but still, I don't ever want us to get to the point to where, that's pretty good. I want us covering it. So that's one of the first things I think about, Ryan. I want to make sure that we are intentionally and strategically serving every parish in our region.
I think those 4 parishes, we're going to get those 4 parishes.
I think we are.
With no problem. And it's going to make this whole effort even more collaborative and a stronger showing, And again, North Louisiana, despite, like you said, the how spread out we are, how rural things are, resources and whatnot, there are always people like yourself who are trying to bring the resources as far and as wide as possible. And kudos to you and the SCILS team.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm hopeful because, and this is to me one of the great things about what we do, because it is focused around partnerships. We'll talk about that a little later. But we do have one of our partners that has extended a hand beyond their parish line to a sister parish that's not got a logo in it yet, and brought them into one of the activities that they're doing in partnership with us. I believe that's going to be instrumental in helping us get a logo in that parish. And so, again, the strength of the partnerships, but that really is, when I think about my goal, one of my goals, that's it. And I hope that we can accomplish that by next year.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely happen. As we're continuing on with the discussion, I'm seeing a graphic pop up that says "Recipe for Rural STEM, a collaborative gumbo." So talk to us about that.
Okay, so this is a new partnership effort. I know that word partnership's coming up a lot, so we're going to talk a little more about that later. But
it's thematic throughout.
Yeah,
the year.
I tend to think that way, and so we're just trapped in that universe. But this is a partnership effort that extends from our our region, all the way down to the southern region. So when we think about rural STEM, everybody thinks, it must be the north. It's over in the Delta. Yada. We've got rural throughout Louisiana.
Yeah, true.
And so Region 8, that's me, is part of a partnership with Region 6, which is in the central part of our state, and Region 3, which is down around Houma, Thibodaux. Because if you think about, you think Thibodaux, you're not thinking rural, but there's a lot of rural territory, a
Absolutely.
lot of
real
estate.
that.
That's exactly right. So the three of us, the 3 directors, have joined together to present this event on March 9th. We're going to do it in the Alexandria Mega Shelter, which is this enormous facility down there. And we are inviting 5th grade students to come and see what opportunities they have through partnerships in these rural regions to engage in robust STEM. And so you're going to see everything from LSU Ag Center and the Forestry Service to the post-secondary institutions that offer things like robotics and drones, healthcare. We want it all to be connecting to pathways to jobs, because careers are a big part of this, but for them to experience these partnerships and have a couple of hours. We're doing a 2-hour segment in the morning, a 2-hour segment in the afternoon, for them to be involved in interactive experiences as a 5th grader, to say, you know what? These folks are in my community. I can connect with them. I can be doing STEM. Whether I'm doing it in school, I can be doing it after school or on the weekends or whatever. So Recipe for Rural STEM, that's kind of our big partnership initiative this year, and we think it's going to be a lot of fun.
So my question is this.
Yes.
I feel like there's, again, another theme. Middle school, 5th, 6th grade. Is there some research that's been, handed down that says you have to help students in those grade levels make decisions about careers at that point in time? Because I feel like 5th and 6th is kind of like a sweet spot.
It is.
for SCILS. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I
a little
will. So there are a couple of trains of thought that go with this. When you look at 5th and 6th graders, they're still relatively malleable. They're curious. They're like little sponges, and they're adventurous, and they're basically up for anything. You're not going to get a lot of resistance. So there's opportunity for seed planting within that. But if you look at big picture, when they start looking at 5th and 6th grade, what am I interested in? What am I good at? What am I finding that's fueling my passion? Then that may inform their decision making when it comes to engaging in their academics with an eye on a future course. Here's the deal. If they've not been given the opportunity to explore these areas, they get to their freshman, sophomore year in high school, they've kind of squandered their academic opportunities, and then suddenly they're like, I want to take that computer science class. Oh, I don't have a decent GPA. Oh, I can't do it. I haven't done the prerequisite. So we want them to have an eye on the future without overloading them, but at a point to where they can absorb it, they can get excited about it. They might take advantage of other opportunities, like they may be in scouting and they see an opportunity in scouting to, undergird what they're doing. Or they may see, oh, they're doing a workshop at the library. I'll show you one that we just did recently that it was just mind-blowing what these girls, were excited about, that really helps propel it forward. There is research, and I hate to bring up something so negative, but it has to do with their reading. And so, they say that if they look at third grade retention rates, and that's what tells them how many jail cells to build for the future, because that's a future dropout. Third grade. Jeez. So we have to be targeting in the elementary grades because we want them plugged in, engaged, powered up, so that we keep them in school, but then that they can get on a path that they can, not just complete, but that will allow them to fulfill their passion. There's just a lot of moving pieces with it, and fifth grade is a sweet spot.
Well, I appreciate that that explanation for sure. What else do we have going on? Is there anything else happening or coming up that you wanted to alert us to? I feel like we're doing the calendar early on in our segments.
Yeah.
In our
well,
discussion.
I tell you what, since I brought up the library, let me just share this. So part of, we've been doing this Girls in STEM for our state initiative, and it's been really, really exciting. So we're part of the Million Women Mentors, and so they encourage you to do these specific types of events, and one of them is called Girls Design for Good. And so we held our first Girls Design for Good event in partnership with the Lincoln Parish Library.
And again, these are what grades again?
These are like 4th through 6th.
Okay, wow.
Maybe some third graders peppered in there, because we had a Girl Scout troop that heard that we were doing that, and they're like, oh, can we come? This will help us with our badge, one of the badges. And so we said, of course, we're not going to turn anybody away. So anyway, we did a Girls Design for Good, Engineer the World. And it was all around one of the grand challenges in engineering of clean water for everyone. Okay, something we tend to take for granted, although if anybody was paying attention, a year ago to what was going on in Jackson, Mississippi, which is not far from us, clean water for everyone was a real issue over there. And so they went through a full day. We had them at the Lincoln Parish Library from 9 to 4:30.
That's a long time.
It's a long time. On a Saturday. They came on a Saturday.
Look at that smile.
I know. Is that not great? So this is where they were learning about what happens to watersheds and marshlands and stuff when pollution comes down. They're doing their rain there on top of it. But yeah, so they learned all about the water cycle. You can see them there. They're exploring through that. And so they did these series of activities learning about water and access to clean water, and we did some literacy experiences and all. But at the end, they had an engineering design challenge where they had to figure out how to create a tower in one village or one community that could transport water to another village that might not have access to water. And so that was amazing to watch them. When we looked at this at the end of the day, I'm not sure that we had ever done. Here's one of the engineering design things, and you can see they're testing it, and they're put straws together like it's a pipe, and so they're seeing if the water, and it made it through. It made it all the way through into this bucket that they had at the end of the table. Phenomenal. Every single group had a design that worked. Some worked better than others, which is just a real world experience.
Right.
But it was just phenomenal to watch them, to see them engaged, to see them problem solving and troubleshooting and, their collaboration, the kind of skills we want our kids to be developing. And so this is one of those things that, I'm going to be honest, at the beginning of the day, we're like, whose idea was this? To have to go to the library all day. But then when you look at this and you think, oh my gosh, and these kids leave so excited. And we also one of our partners was the Vista program at Tech, which is a partnership between art and science, and they do these medical illustrations and such. Well, anyway, they've written a series of children's books. So one of them is called Worrisome Waters, and we put together a little STEM kit with the book in it that had materials for them to do a STEM activity when they got home with their family. Every kid got to take one of those home, which just allows them to extend their learning. So really good stuff, really powerful stuff. At the end of the day, we were just tickled to death that we had this opportunity. But again, it just emphasizes the importance of partnerships.
It almost seems like there's no lack, or I should say, there can never be enough opportunity for our youth to explore careers in general and science and all that. But STEM, we'll just wrap it all up into STEM. Every time you bring to this show pictures of what these young children are doing, what these young people are doing, it always strikes me as, I wish every kid in our region could have a moment where they have that aha, or they look with bewilderment or wonder and awe about not only what's possible, but what they actually did with their own hands.
That's right. And so let's think about this. Let's look at both sides of the coin. So let's say that we did not offer this opportunity. I mean, we had 20 some odd kiddos there that day, which was amazing. We said we'd cap it at 24 because we knew we were going to have these contraptions built and everything. And so almost capacity. And so a couple of things. I'm going to put this in first. The Girl Scout troop leader told us that their girls got the equivalent of 3 Girl Scout meetings in that one day, which positioned them to complete 4 badges and enter into a leadership element. Now, look, yes, they were engaged. They had a great time. They're going to win. But we are positioning them to be young leaders. When you listen to, as they went around the room and they talked about what their responsibility is, now these are young people, what their responsibility is with our natural resources, and you listen to what they're saying from their heart after they've experienced this, you're thinking, we've just made an investment in the future. Okay? Yeah. So, put that all together with all these wonderful opportunities. And let's look at the other side of the coin. What if we had not offered that? What would have been going on that day with these young people?
That's a good question.
I mean, I think about your experience with a Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're relaxing. Maybe you're watching television.
Maybe.
Now I would say way back when I might have, been outside playing. These days, depending, it's tough. And then with, of course, all the distractions, on the phones and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah. Certainly time well invested and well spent.
Oh, I hope so. And so part of our goal with the state initiative of Girls in STEM is to model what we think are replicatable. Is that a word? Replicatable?
I like that word.
Do you like that word? Activities that could be replicated. I know that's a word. Somewhere else. So how difficult would it be to partner with your library, a post-secondary institution of some kind that might have something to contribute, providing your time, and then doing something like this?
But a lot of folks that would put on events and activities like this, they're wanting a turnkey solution. So it almost seems like, just like you send home a packet with students or, something that they can experiment with.
It was a big bag.
Right. You almost say SCILS may be eventually developing the big box, It's like, so if you're going to do this in your parish.
Right.
Here's a box. Here's the instructions. It's part way built. This is a video that you can watch.
That's exactly right.
That we're providing, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to have a little bit of training, and then you go out and you execute it just the same way. That's how you can repeat or replicate what you did at the library.
And I'm glad I heard you say someday, because that is a goal, that we can have these things that you take, because I've always believed teachers, whatever, they want to do the best thing possible for kids. They just always don't know where to start.
That's right.
And so teachers have so much on their plate. People running libraries have so much on their plate. So you take a couple of people that are off with the time to think about, how can we help you do what you need to do, and then give you what you need to do it. That's the position we find ourselves in SCILS. How can we help you? And so I think you're exactly right. Providing the materials, providing, this work for us, and it's a framework. You may want to put a little different meat on it, but it's still a framework, and you can customize it for where you are.
I like how you said that. It's a framework.
It is.
Make it your own.
That's exactly right.
A lot of times we get stuck in, okay, well, this is what they say I'm supposed to do. Do not deviate at all. But instead, there's a flavor that you can add to it. You may think of something as an educator out there who may be thinking about bringing this to your school school or to your parish, you may be thinking there's a different way to approach this topic, or maybe a slight nuance that you want to throw in there. And of course, I'm glad you said that. Give everyone permission to make the changes that fit them. Yeah.
There's no cookie cutter in what's going on in SCILS. I can tell you this, and I'm going to throw up some pictures now, and I'm going to talk about that because this is our latest CS for You cohort. Okay, we are number 4. Moving through we're moving toward 8 of these, as we meet our commitment that we had for CS for All. But what I wanted to point out as we talk about this, when you talk about, make it your own, every time we do this, it's a different group of people from a different area. They're on different schedules. They have different areas of expertise and whatever. We have not done one of these the exact same way yet. The elements are in place, but when the teacher says, we want to come, but we can't get there until here, and we're going to have to leave it whenever, we don't say, no, you can't come because we only do it, this way. I'm trying to get to where they're on their computers. I love that one. She's teaching, the class. We don't do that.
That looks like a neat activity by itself.
Well, they are having their code breaking all day. They get exhausted because they have to use their brains like crazy. But yeah, they're so cute doing it. But the point I want to make is we want to make this work for you where you are. And so if we have to adjust what we're doing, we're going to do that. If you need to see this delivered in a specific way based on the population that we're going to do that. And again, that goes back to making it work where you are, because our goal is for when they get back to where they're going, they continue. They're not going to do that if they feel like they've been forced into something that doesn't feel natural. For example, this group, they had to leave early because of bus schedules. We have no control over that. So we had to take one segment off the day, but we said, you know what? We'll come to you and do that on campus. Oh, wow. So they were able to come to Tech. They were able to do their coding. They were able to do their breakout boxes, the scavenger hunt on campus. That was wild. I'm going to tell you, there was more energy. The adults are like, how many more of these do we have to do? But then we said, we will come do the programming of the Gigglebots at your campus.
Oh, amazing.
And so that works for them. It works for us. It's a win. It's a win-win-win.
So can we pause for just a second?
Would love to.
I have a question about overcoming resistance. Do you feel like in any of these scenarios where you do CS for You, and again, it appears to be targeted to girls at the moment, even though it's going to be CS for All.
It is.
So do you feel like there are moments in time where you get a group in, or maybe in that group there's one or two that are just not quite fully engaged? And then how do you overcome that and get them involved? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I thought about one specific girl when you said that. And it was, I don't know, it's been previously, obviously, but she was not going near it. And it turns out, long story short, because a teacher got involved, and, it's kind of like, I almost in my mind was thinking, this is like those parents that have spent hundreds of dollars to take their family to Disney World, and the kids are tired, and they're dragging them through there going, you're going to have a good time. I'm telling you, we paid to come. So anyway, there was this pushback with this girl, but there was obviously something else going on. Mm-hmm. Well, it was just a confidence issue with this child. I mean, this was not in her natural wheelhouse, nor would it have been in mine. And she just needed a little extra time, a little one-on-one. And we just had to step back and do that. And then she came around. She was productive. It just took a little extra effort on our part. And so you have to be aware that, without exception, they have been all in. I mean, all in. But you're going to have that one or two that, because not everybody progresses at the same rate. Not everyone's had the same experience. That's one of the things that, especially in our rural areas, we have to think about is that experience of poverty. Because it's I meant to say the poverty of experience, because they've not been afforded those experiences, whereas people in other areas, it may have been a more natural thing. And so we have to remember they may not have been doing this, and this before they got here. We got to catch them up.
And I can relate to feeling, having that sense of, I'm not sure if I'm as confident in doing something. I mean, even as an adult, we put on a brave face every day, and we act like we know what we're doing, and then there are moments where, like, you're learning complex information. And there are those around you who seem to be getting it, whether they're getting it or not as well. But they see it, just the light bulb is going off, and they're asking questions that seem very intelligent and articulate. And I'm sitting back there thinking,
What?
is it just me? And like you said, it may take more time for me to grasp the concepts. I may need to go back after that learning session is over, do a little bit more digging, a little bit more research. It's not that it's impossible, and I think that's the message you're trying to tell everybody. Is, whatever your age is, it's not impossible for you to learn. It's just that sometimes we pick up certain things faster than others, and sometimes we have to spend more time on certain
Well,
things.
Ryan, we're all wired differently, and we all learn differently. Listen, I'm going to be completely transparent about an experience I went through as an adult professional in a PD experience. And they had given us this, I was thriving in all areas of this, and then they gave me something. I don't have the strongest foundation in math. It goes back to some issues that occurred during my formative years with, what are you, I'm not going to dwell on that. It's just part of my experience, or lack of. And so I really needed some manipulatives. I really needed time to work this out. And the facilitator for the PD stood right over me, looking down like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well, the more they did that, the more I withdrew.
Yeah.
And then I got very emotional about it because I just needed a minute to think and move and figure it out, because
Give me some space.
I'm not wired that way to just naturally go to it. And my friend, who is a master mathematics teacher, we've taught together for years, and she said, Cathi, she said, you just lack confidence. Well, of course I do, because of the poverty of experience from my youth with this subject matter. And so anyway, I ended up getting up and leaving the room.
Oh.
I did. I was upset, and I went into another room. I had to get a hold of myself because I felt like I was being pressured. And so I think about things like that when I'm working with young people, because if that happened to me as an adult, and I'm a pretty strong person here. I'm no shrinking, violet by any means. But they hit me at a place where I was very vulnerable. And so when we see one doing that, rather than get, aggressive or whatever, it's just like, okay, what do we need to do here? How's it going? She just needed to get a hold of herself. But these are people and not machines. And we just have to be, sensitive to the fact that they may not be in the same place as everybody else.
Is emotional intelligence then, we could safely say, not is it, but it is a part of the STEM experience.
It is.
We have to be cognizant of where everybody's coming from, what their shared
That's
experiences,
right.
what their differences are, and then allow them to flourish in their own way.
And, we tell teachers when we work with them that one of the biggest things we need them to do is give kids opportunities to practice problem solving and figuring it out and the productive struggle, because the first time they're presented with that, it's going to be like, and the more they do it, the more it's like, okay, I can get through this. They have to build up that confidence. But if they've never had that opportunity, that goes back to me talking about the poverty of experience. They need to experience those things in order to overcome the challenge of it. So, resistance, I would say, very, very minimal, but it has nothing to do with not wanting to do it. It has more to do with, I don't think I'm capable of doing it. And we have to help them understand, yes, you are. You can do this. And they do. It just sometimes takes a little longer.
Yeah, speaking of professional development, one of the things I wanted to talk about on this particular episode is I got the privilege to go to Seattle and visit one of the Amazon Web Services buildings. Amazon has a ton of buildings in that city, but we went to, me and a few other educators were there to learn about machine learning.
Oh, wow.
And which is a branch of artificial intelligence. And basically, if we're talking about a subject that I really don't know much about, except for on the very surface, it is that machine learning. But being a techie, it was something that I wanted to brave and dive into, and then subsequently bring back to the college so that we can potentially teach that in coming semesters and expose our students to it. Now, I'm saying all that to say this. Did I get everything that they presented to me? Am I automatically an instantaneous success story in that field? Do I know everything about it? No, absolutely not. And in fact, it's a little scary because I now have taken upon myself the challenge of delivering this content.
Wow.
So of course you have to be
That's a huge deal.
Feel mastery in it and then move forward. But I also know the more mature side of me is saying, okay, don't be scared. Dive into it full force. you're going to be better for it.
Right.
You know, you're going to be a better educator, have a better skill set. Maybe even this may lead to some kind of subject matter expertise. And then, of course, what are you really doing it for? It's not just for you. In fact, it's mostly not for you. It's for those young minds that you can help along the way to get them into other industries and to give them opportunities for jobs and employment, not only in the region, but, you know, just nationwide and worldwide.
Okay, something you said kind of connects back to something we talked about previously. Mm-hmm. When you said that educated part of you said, this is going to be okay. You know, you have had the opportunity of experience through your life. You've overcome challenges. You've done this. And so you got to this and said, okay, this is going to be okay. It's scary right now, but I'm going to get through it. Let's go back to your question earlier. Why are we targeting 4th, 5th, and 6th graders? Because we want them to have those experiences so that when as even an eighth grader, a freshman, so they see this and they go, oh gosh, this is scary. Oh, but I can do this. Right. And then they keep going so that when they get out of high school and they finish high school and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to tackle that program. I saw Ryan Pierce talking about that. I'm going to tackle that program because I can do it. And so you experience that as an adult, but that's why we want our kids in the cycle so that when they get to those, and we all get to them, they can handle it.
I'm glad you brought it back home, because as I'm thinking about the opportunities I had as a kid, probably those opportunities from summer, I remember going to a summer meteorology camp. Yeah. Not that I was at all thinking I'm going to be a weather person, right. But I went to, for a week, I learned about meteorology, and then there was another week where I learned some astronomy, and it was just the exposure. And it was in a low pressure environment, and it was around middle school. Right. Thinking back, and I met kids from all around the city.
That's a huge deal, right?
And so you're socializing with a group that you don't normally socialize with, and you're sitting there being exposed to these concepts that you wouldn't normally been exposed to. But then it makes you think, oh, if I can sort of hang with this, and if this is of interest to me, what else does the world have to offer?
Right.
And it makes you braver. So again, we just keep saying the same thing. That's why the work that SCILS is doing is so important. It may seem like a small thing, a day, a few hours, but that can completely change
Absolutely.
The trajectory of a young mind, and have them doing things. It may plant the seed that they don't even realize is there, and it germinates and grows later on down the road. In confidence and in what do I want to do with myself.
That's right.
And what do I want to contribute to the world.
And you said something that a couple of things that really resonated with me there. Number one, when you said that you really went to this camp with no intention of being a meteorologist, and that's great, because we always remind people when we engage kids in STEM experiences, it's not that we're trying to create a scientist or a technology guru or an engineer, mathematician. We're wanting them to adopt a mindset, a mindset that I can problem solve this. I can, troubleshoot it. I can get through it. I can collaborate. I can communicate, all these things that are going to, one way or another, be a part of their world. Number two, when you said you were at this camp with people from all over the city, that is one thing that the Girl Scout leader said when we were doing our Girls Design for Good. She said one of the best things that came out of this were my girls interacted with other girls from all over the area. I mean, they were from every corner of the parish, people they would have never interfaced with in their life. That, she says, that helps prepare them for the world they're going to go into. And the fact that you have a 3rd or 4th grader collaborating with a 6th grader. I mean, I don't know if you remember, I remember coming in from my piano lessons and I would have to go to piano during the day. I missed lunch with my grade, and I would have to go into the 6th grade lunchroom. I didn't want any part of that. They were huge. They were giants. They scared me.
Oh, yeah.
And
those 6th graders are still scary.
Yeah, they are. And so for them to confidently, stand up and use their voice and work alongside these big 6th grade, that was enormous. Talk about confidence building. So there's so many little elements that factor into it that go so far beyond the content of, we want them to understand about this concept that we're, developing all this around. It's almost like all these auxiliary points are more important.
Yeah, it seems like we can't get enough of these opportunities to learn and grow.
And I'm
Bottom
gonna,
line.
yeah, and I want to add something else because I keep cycling back to things we've already said. I love how you said, you went to this Amazon thing because you wanted to come back and present it, and have a class here. To me, this just is another example of what an enormous partnership looks like. So you come back here and you start a course at Louisiana Delta Community College that's going to deal with artificial intelligence or whatever that factors in. Amazon will inevitably be a partner in this. Mm-hmm. And so it's you partnering with students, you partnering with Amazon, but then our responsibility then as partners is to reach out and partner with parents. This opportunity is available.
Yeah.
We want you to understand what this means, what this looks like, what this could mean for your child's future. Partnering with chambers of commerce or civic leaders that say, you need to help us promote this. High school counselors, look at your kids. Who would benefit from this? I mean, it's all a partnership web. I cannot overstate the importance of partnerships. It makes me so proud that SCILS is built on partnerships, but that we remain focused and committed to perpetuating them moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Couldn't say it any better myself. I'm so glad that whenever we have these discussions, we can bounce back and forth off of each other and get even better and deeper conversation going than what we originally thought we were going to do at the beginning of.
Well, we never do what we said we're going to do anyway.
So as we cycle back to the images, what are we looking at now?
This is one of our new partners, Richland Parish in the house. Let me just say, total excitement. So they came over for a STEM day. And here, again, kids, we're just giving them simple challenges to overcome. But part of the beauty, I love this, they're outside. Their goal was to launch. They had to build a very simple catapult and launch a marshmallow, a snowball, as far as they could. And so that was what they were working on in these pictures you see. They wanted us to tell them initially, how do you do it? And what did we say? Figure it out. And so this is it. But part of it was they also got to spend time with Dr. Bill Deese.
Fire.
I mean, really,
gosh.
fire, explosions. I'm going to cycle back around to another. Anyway, this is a big part of it. We want to introduce an element of what's in the future, career success. How does this apply to something else? And so having Bill do some of his cool demonstrations in front of them and, talk to them about going to school after they graduate from high school and what, chemists do and things that are out in the community that would have let them apply this, and of course they're sitting there I think the next picture is the one that's so cute. He was fixing to blow something up, look at him. How darling is that?
I would have never thought to capture that moment. That's a great moment.
I just turned around, and so you see some of them are truly terrified because he'd already blown one thing up. But others are like, oh yeah, some more. So if I can find, isn't that great? I mean, and so, okay, let's talk about it. These are like some upper elementary. I don't know what grade they're in, but that one moment, being in that room and watching Bill explode a hydrogen balloon, rattle the windows, shake the ceiling tiles, that's going to change a child's life. I don't know which one of them, but that will influence what they do in their future. I guarantee you. I mean, I was that person. So I'm telling you.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous because when is SCILS going to put on a session or a day or a week-long experience for adults? I just want to go hang out. I want to do all the experiments. Fire's great, and I'll be there for that too, but I want to learn how to launch things into the stratosphere. I want to learn how to code better, and all these. These are things that, like, as an adult, I want to do. And if there could be a day camp,
Listen, I'm glad you said that. Absolutely, because I was talking to somebody else, and they were like thinking about, we need to do an adult STEM night, an adult STEM day.
I'm not the only one.
No, this conversation took place a week ago, Ryan, a week ago. So I'm thinking, how do we do this, and what does it look like? Well, okay, if for no other reason, come and see. Did your college chemistry class look anything like this? Woo-hoo. Mine didn't until I got into my post-grad work. But look at that. Can you imagine sitting in there? I'm actually kind of impressed with myself for capturing that. The lights were off, and Bill ignited that hydrogen balloon, and everybody went wild. The squealing, of course, it just feeds his ego. It makes me sick. But and I want to make sure he hears me say that because he is my dear friend. But anyway, imagine no, whatever fourth or fifth grade student has seen anything like this, and then it's like, wow, I want to do something like that. Is that not cool?
I'm thinking, where's the fire marshal? And
We don't let them know what we're doing.
I'm worried about the ceiling tiles catching fire. All that
Trust
stuff.
me when I tell you, I was in that room in 1989 doing my post-grad work in his class. That has happened for 30 some odd years. So yeah, it's all good.
Wow.
It's all good.
That's an impressive photo, I got to tell you. And what's funny, the kids, we're kind of chuckling at them in the previous pictures because they had their hands over their ears. But yet I see the instructor with earmuffs to try to dampen the sound as well. So they weren't too far off.
Yeah, and I love the wonder. I'm going to show you a picture here in just a minute that just, to me, it encapsulates the why. I don't care what age you are, the why. This is another STEM day that we did. These were with some really young kids. And while they're a little bit more of a challenge, I've always contended teachers come into the world either gearing toward the elementary, gearing toward the secondary. I was a secondary person. I like people to be able to tie their own shoes, go to the bathroom by themselves, not hang on my leg. This is the other side of the coin. So anyway, here they are. They are doing breakout boxes. Now let's talk about, these are K2, working on breakout boxing, solving codes. They're cracking codes that will let them break into these boxes. They all do it. It's, for the adults out there, do not underestimate your young people. I don't care what age they are. Do not underestimate them. We need to give them the challenge to rise to. But I want to show you one picture when we get to it in a second. Here they are doing some circuitry. They were trying to light as many lights at one time as they can, collaborating around that, which, again, those skills that we want them to develop. Giving them, this was a measurement lab. Now I'm going to tell you, this was a handful. It was my idea. I have to own it. But a measurement lab, and they made hot chocolate mix. But they had to carousel from different stations. They learned how to use a balance. They had never done this before. But anyway, pretty powerful, them learning how to do this measurement. It was pretty powerful how much we had to clean up. But it was awesome. Look at this child. Look at this child. Their challenge was to build a little firewood rack that would hold the most firewood. And so this young man had failed miserably on his first try. And then he came back and he said, what if? He said to me, what if? And I said, I think that what if will work. And so if you look at the bottom, you'll see he took his pipe cleaners and was wrapping around, because we limit what they can use. He put it together. Time was running out. He was adding the firewood logs to it. I don't know what that is in the middle. Something with straws. I'm not sure. But anyway.
You're counting down. 10,
yeah, I'm counting. Anyway,
9.
Look at that. When it held, I don't know, 24, 30 pieces of wood. Now let's talk about this child when he leaves that day. What do you think he's going to talk about for the rest of that day?
Oh, he's on cloud 9 in
He
the
is.
fact that he basically invented something.
He did.
Almost out of nothing. Pipe cleaner, some
Craft
cardboard,
sticks.
some
That's craft sticks. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, a little bit of tape, some straws, obviously straws.
He's an inventor and an accomplished, scientist.
I mean, I just love that. And so that aha moment, that light bulb moment, that's what we're hoping. And it's going to come. You never know what it's going to be.
I love how he's got his hands in the air. That's victory right
It
there.
is.
And again, confidence. And he's going to build on that and hopefully do a lot of great things.
I agree. And so we see that. It really doesn't matter what we're doing. If it's a coding thing, this last group of this last cohort for CS for You, it was mind-boggling what they were able to accomplish. And to see, I mean, even how they sit taller after doing it, the looks on the smiles. I'm telling you, you just realize, it's funny, was part of an oral history project that I totally forgot I'd agreed to do. Well, they just sent me the digital copy of the book, and I'm like, what did I say to these people? And so I was going through it, and I looked at it, and they took a quote out of what I said, and they had it boxed or something by my story, and it said something to the effect of what a gift it is to never have to wonder why you were put on the planet. Wow. And when I look at a little face like this, I never had that experience in school, but to know that I'm a part of doing that for somebody else, whether they're in first grade or sixth grade or in high school or an adult in one of our adult STEM classes that are coming.
Again, raising my hand.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. To be a part of that joy, to be a part of that wonder, to be a part of that seed planting. That's the way I have to look at that seed planting. It's just the best thing ever.
Yeah. And like I said, to go back to something you said before, which I really appreciated, it is not that these programs are coming around to build the next computer scientist or the next mechanical engineer or the next whoever. It is simply to give these young minds an opportunity to chew on something that they may not have had access to previously, and then we'll see where it goes. But that is there's no you can't underestimate the value of exposure.
Well, I think it just equips and empowers them with the possibility of choice, which that's what we want. Them have the ability to choose.
And look like this.
And look like that. I mean, I would do that now, but I would knock over this microphone or something. Yeah. I mean, if in everything we did, and this kind of goes back to, we want them to find purpose in what they're doing. We want them to find joy in what they're doing. We want them to be fulfilled. If we could accomplish that, they're going to feel like that every day. And it may be something just silly or we may seem menial to us, but for them, like me, this kid built, I was feeling like that all day. Wow. It helped me get past the mess of my measurement carousel.
Oh, man. Well, gosh, I'm thinking about all that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Again, I always leave these times feeling good, feeling better about, the direction in which the region is heading, thanks to SCILS. I'm always a proud partner in this, and I'm stay excited, and whenever you come around, it's just infectious. I don't want to stop our discussion without asking you, did we miss anything? Was there something else that's coming that we did?
It's interesting that you asked that, because as you were saying that, Ryan, I was sitting here thinking what a gift it is for us to sit down and kind of reflect. We think ahead because we've talked about some things that are coming up, but we reflect because this is a real tangible way for me to think, yeah, we've managed to do something. Because there are days when it's like you get down in the ditch and you're like, I'm not making any progress. I can't get that PowerPoint finished, and all I've done is Zoom all day. And then we sit down and talk about it. It's like, but yeah, we've affected some lives. We've created opportunity. We've achieved some goals, and so I'm so grateful for that. I don't think we've missed anything, because all this has happened with the holidays in between. So that's a lot going on, and there's already more scheduled for the next month. So I'm already thinking, oh wow, yeah. So I'm already looking forward to next month. We will have several things to share. We will have hosted the first quarter LaSTEM Council meeting, which I will be able to report back on that. And just as a little teaser out there, we will have unveiled our freshly minted SCILS workforce analysis report, and we will be looking at some of the STEM jobs in our region and beyond that we need to be targeting a little better. And so lots percolating, and as always, we are just grateful to be here, grateful for the opportunities presented, and we remain just totally invested in this partnership with Louisiana Delta Community College.
Well, we appreciate you. It sounds like you have given us the cue. To wrap up this episode. And I tell you what, I'm looking forward to hearing more. I'm looking forward to February. Around Valentine's Day, we should be doing another one of these. And doesn't that go with, we love what we do?
We love what we do. That's it.
And so that's the celebration right there in February.
And may everyone else love what they do.
That's right. Until next time, this has been Ryan Pierce and Cathi Cox-Boyniel for SCILS Region 8 LaSTEM Center.
Thanks, y'all.